I spoke about attempts to classify ragas, and I suggested that one broad classification that is very relevant in today's Carnatic music is that between traditional ragas with strong characters and newer creations whose um, melodic character is quite ill-defined. Beyond the swaras, beyond the notes that comprise these ragas, there is nothing really for a musician to take care of. And so to that extent they are far less challenging and far less fulfilling to perform or even listen to. It is not to say that these new creations are not melodious or that they are not pleasant to listen to. They can be very melodious, they can even move a person, but in terms of the demands on the musicianship, on the artistry of a musician, these ragas don't compare that well with traditional ragas. One way of classifying the wide range of ragas that we have would obviously be in terms of the swaras, the notes that occur in them. And there are two ways of doing this. One is in terms of the actual swaras that each raga takes. And that is what the Melakarta system, the Mela system of classification uses. We will see that later. But the more superficial way of looking at the swaras and using that as a classification tool is to see the number of swaras that each raga has. As I mentioned, there is a requirement of a minimum of 5 swaras in any raga. Exceptions apart, the exceptions are very, very few, and any raga for viability should have at least 5 swaras. So we have ragas with 5 swaras, we have ragas with 6 swaras, we have ragas with 7 swaras, and there are technical terms for these. Ragas with just 5 swaras are called Audava ragas. Ragas with 6 swaras are called Shadava ragas. Ragas with 7, all the 7 swaras are called Sampurna ragas. In the early lesson on raga and swara, I had demonstrated quite a few of these ragas. Mohanam, Hamsadhvani, Hindolam, these are all examples of Audava ragas, ragas that have only 5 swaras. Mohanam, for instance, is Sari ga pa da sa sa da pa ga ri sa. This is Mohanam. Hamsadhvani is Sari ga pa ni sa sa ni pa ga ri sa. Sari ga pa ni sa ni pa ga ri sa. Hindolam is sa ga ma dha ni sa sa ni da ma ga sa. These are all Audava ragas. We have Shadava ragas also with 6 swaras. Sa ri ga pa dha ni da pa ga ri sa. Malayamaritam. Sa ri ga ma dha ni sa sa ni da ma ga ri sa. Sri Ranjani. And then of course we have Sampurna ragas with all 7 swaras. And then we have combination of these We have ragas which have 5 swaras in the aroha, 6 in the avroha or 7 in the avroha. We have, and those ragas would be called Audava Shadava or Audava Sampurna. We have ragas which have 6 in the aroha, 7 in the avroha. We have very many of these combinations. We even have ragas like Saramati, which has 7 swaras in the aroha and 5 in the avaroha. Sarigama padhani sa sanidama ga sa. This is Saramati. Sarigama padhani sa sanidama ga sa. Sarigama ga sa ni sariga sada ni sa. There is a great composition by Tyagaraja in this raga. Mokshamu galada, mokshamu galada, bhuvilo jeevam muktulu gani varalaku mokshamu galada bhuvilo jeevam muktulu gani varalaku mokshamu galada. Sarigama padhani sa sanidama ga sa. So this was Saramati, a Sampurna Audava raga. It takes 7 in the aroha and 5 swaras in the avroha. But we also have ragas which are called Vakra. They have a zigzag kind of movement. Sagari ma pani sa sani pamagari sa. Sagari ma pani sa sani pamagari sa. Sarigama, it doesn't go like that. Sagari ma pa ni pa pa ma ma ga ga ri sa ni sa ga ri pa ma ga ri sa. Sagari ma pa ma ma ga ga ri sa pa ni sa ga ri pa ma ga ri sa. So this a slight twist in the tail, so to say, that gives a certain flavor to the raga, and these are called Vakra ragas, and we have plenty of such Vakra ragas in Carnatic music. Some very major ragas have vakra sancharas, vakra phrases. Bhairavi, for instance, Bhairavi is a very major raga. Sa ga re ga ma pa da pa. Now without this vakratva, this crookedness, sa ni sa ga re ga ma pa da pa. There is no Bhairavi without that vakra phrase. You can't say sa re ga ma pa da pa. This is also occasionally we can sing it, but the life of this raga is in sa ga re ga ma pa da pa ma pa ga re ga ma pa da ni da pa ga ma pa ga re ni sa ga re ga ma pa da pa. Ananda Bhairavi, another raga, has the same phrase. Sa ga re ga ma pa ma ga re sa ni ga re sa sa pa ma pa sa ni da pa ma ga re sa ni sa ga re ga ma pa. So many traditional ragas have this crookedness inbuilt in their movement, in their the way they move. And even in ragas which are otherwise which can categorize as Sampurna or Shadava or Audava, the phrases, and I am talking of traditional ragas, the phrases, many of the important phrases have a crookedness. If you take Shankarabharanam for instance, Sari Gama Padani Sani Da Pa Magari Sa. Now, there are many phrases, very important phrases, which are essentially they involve jumping notes. If you take this swara sequence, which is actually part of a very famous composition, ma da pa ma ga ma pa ga ma ri ga sa. See, ma da pa. So there's a skip of pa. Ma da pa ma ga ma pa ga ma ri ga sa. It's completely vakra. Pa ma ga ri sa. Instead of that, pa ga ma ri ga sa ni sa ma ga ri sa ni da ni. This is straight. Sa ma ga ri sa ni da ni sa ri ga ma pa. The first part of this line of swaras showcases the vakra sancharas, the vakra phrases of Shankarabharanam. In fact, a very important phrase in Shankarabharanam which is captured in another great composition is Sada Parisa Sa Parisa. Just this is very evocative of Shankarabharanam. So, though we speak of Aroha, Avroha, these are actually just pedagogical devices, and they should not really shackle a musician once he or she wants to engage with the raga creatively, artistically. In fact, performers are not all the time thinking of the Aroha, Avroha when they are performing a raga. That would be very shackling, very restrictive. And ragas, in fact, as I said, the Aroha, Avroha, these are all just ways of talking of the raga, of describing the raga, of even at the beginner's level, teaching the raga. When you teach a raga, you probably talk of the Aroha, Avroha. Though, in fact, traditionally, a couple of generations ago, that was also not the case. Aroha, Avroha has come into some importance only as a relatively recent phenomenon. This concept of aroha avroha or ascent and descent was also not part of musicological discussions until after the 18th century. It is a fairly new concept, because earlier ragas were entirely understood according to the phrases, and by the time of the late 18th century, after 18th century, the attempts of musicologists to talk about scales and the number of possible scales, that had gained a stronghold on the imagination of musicologists. And then ragas, the scale that raga has, that started gaining more prominence in the minds of musicians and musicologists.